Hello friends and welcome back. I'm Enterprise Architecture and we are playing more modded Vintagestory. Now, we had made pretty good progress with doing our renovations and making our steel last time, so today we can start using that steel to make up some of our more advanced machines. Notably, we can finally get our steel pulverizer caps, and we can also make a steel helve hammer, which will help us with automating all of our forging and other manufacturing that we need to do. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. All right, we have stocked up on food now, and now it's time to go hunting for titanium. To do this, I'm gonna make up a couple of whetstones real quick. These we learned before are from the Repair Me mod. This is a really easy way that we'll be able to repair our pickaxe while we're out in the field, as long as we don't let it break all the way. We should have our pack on our back, we do, and now we are ready to go hunting for titanium. Now, I believe there's probably some right in this same area directly under us somewhere. Yes, so right underneath our base, as you may recall, we do indeed have a vein of titanium that I found here. This is rich titanium, which is almost as good as you can get, not quite bountiful, but all we need is enough here that we can start crushing it to be able to make up our tier 3 refractory bricks. Now, I really wish I hadn't made so many tier 2 refractory bricks. We would have had a lot of more leftover resources, but I still think we have enough that we'll be able to make a bunch more tier 3 without too much trouble. Well, friends, I found my third node of titanium in this same spot where we had been mining everything else for our copper, all of that, and look what I just found. We have magnetite behind it, rich magnetite, in fact. I had not expected to find iron so close to home, but it's literally right outside our back door. This is easily the luckiest spawn point I've ever found. Even though I do have the settings turned up in the game so that we do have more nodes of ore than usual, but even with that, it's really rare to find iron, and I got really lucky. This is a fantastic starting location, y'all. And more gold right in the middle of it too. Okay, this is just ridiculous. Let me mine as much of this out as I can, and I will see where we land here in a little while. All right, so back at base now, we have just piles and piles of titanium. Now, one thing that springs to mind here is that I think we're going to have to pulverize the titanium, but we need a pulverizer tier 4 to do that, which means we need to make steel pounder caps to be able to get anything out of this. But we can at least hammer these down. So let's grab up our iron hammer real quick. And we probably should make a steel hammer as well here. That probably would be a useful thing to do, but it looks like the iron one can break all of this down no problem at all. So let me do that real fast. It's going to take me a little while to get through this stack because this is a lot of ore. All right, so we have almost a full chest of titanium. That should be plenty for our purposes here. We've got a little bit more gold now. We got some bismuth. We picked up a little bit of sphalerite, which we're going to use for that zinc compound we had done before, the zinc oxide. We got a little bit more iron as well. All of that magnetite, I think we got about 2.5, 3 stacks of magnetite there. A little bit more copper. And of course, then we also got some nickel, which I found down there, and also some chromite. Now, chromite we use for chromium, and that we can use to make tanned hides. And this nickel we can apparently use for a variety of things. And apparently we can use nickel and copper to make cupronickel, which I also would assume that Invar would be in here, but apparently Invar is not in here. But that's fine. So we have a lot of very interesting things that we can now do with all of this. Look at this nickel metal crock. That's very, very neat looking. Nickel plates. We can use that to make all sorts of stuff. Okay, so this is really awesome. We have a bunch of different ingredients here, and we also got a little bit of fluorite and a little bit of uranium. These are just gems though, so we're not gonna be able to do much with those. Well, it looks like I can make a steel pounder cap with only one piece of iron bar, steel bar. So I think we're gonna go ahead and light up these bars here. We've got 3 that we've refined already, and we're gonna do 2 pounder caps out of that. And then we'll take the remaining piece of steel and we'll make ourselves a steel hammer just to have it. We should also probably start working down the rest of this blister steel, but I think I'll do that between episodes because it's kind of annoying to kind of do all of this. All right. Okay, our steel is up over 1400 Fahrenheit. That means we do need to grab up our tongs, otherwise we will burn ourselves. Let's grab that. We can throw it on here, and we need to make up our pounder caps. Where are our pounder caps? Shoot section, steel boss. You know, we really should make a helve hammer head while we are at it. That's going to be the next thing on my list. Ah, there we go, pounder cap. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and get this knocked out real quick. Let me go ahead and work a few more pieces of blister steel here so that we can go ahead and get our other helve hammer done. That's going to be really useful for us. All right, so we've got those done. Let's see if this is hot enough that we can finish our helve hammer head. I believe we need another piece on here. Let's see here, 42 of 78, that is correct. There we go, there's 2. And now we can start auto-completing this. And now all we have to do is split off the 6 remaining pieces. Great, and now we have the helve hammer head. Anything else here that we want to do while we are at it? I guess I could start doing some decent weapons. Like we could do a steel falx here. But really, I think probably the hammer is going to be the most useful thing. But we could just do some of our basic tools here because, again, we've got 2 more steel ingots. So this would probably be a good time to do some of the things that we do use very, very often here. So definitely an axe probably would be real smart. And I will also go ahead and make a steel falx because I do know that we are going to need to do some sort of self-defense here in the near future if we do go into the Resonance Archive. So let's get this done. All right, so let's make our axe. Let's make our falx real quick. There we go. We've got those. And we have our steel pick still, so I think we're looking pretty good. So now all we need to do is set up our steel helve hammer and also swap out our pounder caps. Okay, as our last project of the day, let's start getting our helve hammer set up here. We need a helve hammer base, and for that we are going to need a little bit of resin and some planks. Then we are going to need the helve hammer itself, which is easy enough. We already have the head for that, so we just need a pair of planks. Yeah, we do need 1 wooden toggle, and for that I'm going to need more of our oil that we've got in addition to a bunch more resin. How are we doing on resin? We have 5 pieces. Well, luckily, we had done 2 things to get resin at the end of, what, 2 episodes ago, 3 episodes ago? We had scored these trees so that now they're going to be leaking pine resin. So now we have a whole bunch of resin right outside our door anytime that we want it. So there's 6 pieces just like that. And where is my lantern? I can't see a thing. The other thing we did is plant a whole forest over here of pine trees that we can then also use to get resin. So each of these trees is now leaking resin, and it looks like we have 0.98 liters of fresh resin. So let's see here, resin, we want resin portion, right? So this we need to let harden apparently, and then it becomes actual hardened resin. Ah, there we go. Yes, dump out a bucket full of hardened resin to acquire it. Great. So soon we'll have a liter of resin in each of these, and I think that'll be a good starting point. All right, so helve hammer, easy enough for us. We just need to make sure that these are going into the right slots. There we go. There's a helve hammer. We need to do the base. All right, there is the base for it, and then the toggle. All right, and there is our wooden toggle. So that should be everything that we need to assemble our helve hammer. All right, so we finally have our helve hammer set up, and we are ready for any processing we want to do. This is mainly going to be for ingots or for plates, I think. I think that's all you can do with the helve hammer. But I've moved everything from our other smelting facility, everything else that we were working in our little forge, to this area. So we can have a whole separate forge here with an auto hammer. And this is all connected with a clutch and a transmission to turn it on and off. Same thing is true over here for our new pulverizing facility. This one does pulverizing here and grinding here. Again, this is not automated. I tried for a little while to set up the grindstone to jump into hoppers here on all sides, but I couldn't figure out a really great way to both power this and have auto inputs and outputs. So instead, we're going to do it manually. That's not a big deal, but this also has a transmission and clutch. There we go. This turns it on and off just like that. So now that we have all of this ready to go, we can take some of our lovely ilmenite and start pulverizing this up, and we'll be able to use that to make our tier 3 refractory bricks. So let's come over here. I think these get pulverized first. Yeah, pulverizes into. So let's put this in here. And now we're going to turn this on, and that should then start crushing this down here. And with those steel pulverizer pieces on here, that should be able to handle this with no trouble. There we go, crushed ilmenite. Okay, wonderful. And this is what we're going to use for our tier 3 refractory bricks. I think we have everything else that we need for this. We might need to crush some more quartz and bauxite and olivine, but I'm pretty sure that we have the ingredients. So there's our olivine, here's bauxite, here's quartz. So yeah, let's just crush up the olivine for this. We might need to go mining a little bit more as well as our next little stop. Now, thankfully, there is a lot of olivine on this map, and we had found some olivine right here, actually. There was a bunch of little nuggets sitting around, and generally speaking, wherever we find nuggets, we will probably find a node of it if we dig down far enough. So let's go ahead and grab up our shovel here and start digging, and then pickaxing down. Yep, and immediately what do? We find olivine. That is wonderful. That's what we like to see. Great. Now, I also went ahead and made myself up a couple of little iron things while I was going through all of that. I made myself an iron knife, which you can see in this slot here, because I kept breaking my knives while I was trying to mark all of the trees to get resin. And I also made up a iron, a chisel, so that we could have that in our forge. I figured having a higher quality chisel would be good in there. We probably won't use that for detailing and decorating, but I just wanted to have it for the sake of it. Okay, so we're going to mine up this olivine, this entire node here, and then we're going to take it back to our pulverizer and get it crushed down. Oh, I also wanted to say I really like having a steel axe. That's been wonderful. We can cut down like an entire oak tree in almost no time flat now. That's been really nice to have and saving a lot of time and trouble. These high tier various items that you can get, the tools late in the game, yeah, these are real nice. So underneath that olivine node, I found another olivine node, and underneath the olivine node, I found iron ore, friends. So we are getting so lucky with our spelunking. I'm gonna go ahead and mine this node up. None of the iron that we have found so far have been particularly big nodes, but we found a bunch of little ones, and having a dozen little nodes underneath the base is not the worst thing in the world. I will certainly take it. All right, the key here is that I did have to keep mining basically down to the bedrock layer, I guess mantle in this game, and that's where we've been finding a lot of these rich ores. So you just have to keep digging, friends. Now, there are some monsters down here, and we do have our steel falx, and that was taking out surface drifters in a single hit. How does it fare against a nightmare drifter? Well, apparently the same thing. One hit is more than enough to take out a nightmare drifter, but per usual, we don't get anything for our trouble. Okay, more chromium down here, some flint down here. Yeah, there's a nice little passage I've now found. A whole bunch more titanium, but we don't really need any more titanium, so we're not going to worry about that so much. Take a gear. Gears are good to have. And how about that other Bowtorn? You're a nightmare Bowtorn. How will you do? Yep, one hit. We will take it. And you have not much for me, but that's fine. Got some copper. Oh! And apparently we can even take out a bell without too much trouble, although they are still super loud. And yeah, you're not going to give me anything else. Okay, well, we are finding all sorts of things while exploring. Oh, but I didn't even realize that we have basalt all the way down here. This might be a good reason to come all the way down anyway, is that we can then mine up this basalt and use that as a decorative element. So that might be a project for a future plan as well. Well, the Bellhead Shiver did take 2 hits, but we got a temporal gear for our trouble, and I think that is well worth the effort. And 7 more rusty gears? Yeah, thank you. I will take all of these things. Oh, and another couple. All right, well, if we could just take you all out, then I'm just going to take you all out. All right, well, after that quest, we got a lot of things from those monsters down in the cave. And I find this kind of interesting. We got 4 temporal gears off of that run, as well as 33 rusty gears. And I was only down there for a second, dealing with some of the monsters that had been spawning. So we are going to have to come up with a way to store all of this because we're just running out of room for all of the things. I really need to make like 1 more chest. I really wish temporal gears stacked was the other thing here. I guess for now, we're just going to put it in here because we've got space for them, along with these Jonas parts that we got. Our gears, we're going to put with our other gears, and I'm not really sure what to do with all of these bone arrows I got either. Let's see here, we got that. We actually have 1 more Jonas part here, so I guess I'll trade that out for birch. Yeah, we've got too much stuff, friends, and that is a problem. Now, the other thing I need to do is run back over here real quick, and we can start figuring out how many of our various ores that we got also. Let's put this down. We can grab our chest off our back. And now we see, yeah, we got a goodly amount of ore in there. So this is our haul, basically. I certainly think that this will be enough. I'm going to crush down at least this stack of olivine. And, oh, metal scraps. Do we need to pulverize those as well to make rusty metal? Oh, we can make, ooh, look at this. We can make lamps out of it. I didn't know that we can make lamps. Oh, apparently we can make lamps? Oh, look at that. We just need metal scraps, nails, and strips. Huh. Okay, well, maybe we save these for a project in the future. We have 5 pieces of metal scrap. We'll just slot them in here, and maybe we can make some lamps later. Let me get the rest of this crushed down, though, and then we can continue on. Okay, great. So almost 600 magnetite. That's going to be a lot for us. A little bit of copper that I accidentally kind of picked up as we were digging our way through. A little bit of zinc, a tiny bit of silver, and a little bit of tin here in addition to all of our olivine. I'm going to get all this put away, and we are then going to make up our refractory bricks. Okay, I'm sure these are still coming in, but we're going to at least take up what we've got here and get started on this here. We need our fire clay is our first major ingredient, and then we need 1 of each of the other various ingredients here, just like that, and that makes our tier 3 refractory bricks. So we've got olivine, quartz, bauxite, and our titanium. Perfect. So grab all of that up. We've got 2 stacks of 64. That's looking pretty good, and we've got a little fire clay left. So we should be able to now take these and then fire them. Let's see here. We do indeed just fire them right, just like that. And that's easy for us. We're just gonna go right out our back door and over here to our refractory kiln. You know, we had some porcelain tiles that have been made up, and we probably need to finish making those as well. So this is a great opportunity to do so. Can I go any higher than this? Yeah, I can. There we go. Let's go up to there. And then we'll put these in place. Great. And let me see if I can't make up any more porcelain now that we have that alternate porcelain recipe. All right, so I teleported up north where we could get some of this phyllite. And we talked about this before, that we wanted to use the phyllite to be able to make porcelain because we do need something that is a feldspar to do so. So if we look at, actually, let's just go ahead and look at that ingredient here. Where is the phyllite? Just like this. Right, so we can pulverize this into crushed phyllite, that turns into powdered phyllite, and that we can use in the porcelain instead of bone ash. Because again, historically, bone ash is only used for bone porcelain china. So we can use regular phyllite here, and that will be a reasonable substitute in this mod that I have added. Oh, and we also found graphite. That's going to be helpful for us later on, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this up while we are here. Graphite has a couple of other uses in this. And I think this is actually added by a mod. I could be wrong here, but yeah, no foreshadowing or anything, but we use it to make batteries. And if you haven't played with some of the mods in Vintagestory, you might not be aware that there are electricity mods that have been added. I'm saving those for late game because I think that they feel a little cheaty in a wilderness survival game, but we might get to those later, so we may as well grab out all of the graphite we can find right now. Huh, that is a weird formation. We broke out of this area with graphite, and now we're just in a giant open cave with lots of horrific monsters and a huge amount of salt. Is there anything else in here? There's gold in here, there's chromium, there's nightmare shivers. Yeah, I think we're gonna focus on getting the graphite. There's marble, there's more gold. This is just such an enormous cave down here. Whoa, teleporting monsters. Okay, we're going to focus on the task at hand here, and we are not going to worry about all the horrific monsters right now. Well, you all have already seen me make porcelain before, so in between episodes, I'll make up more of my porcelain tiles, and I'll also fire up these refractory bricks, and then bright and early next episode, we'll be able to repair our furnaces that have broken down as a result of the heat, so we will have the tier 3 refractory bricks in place. I probably won't replace all of the bricks, but at least all of the broken ones. So for now, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!